Hey everyone, I hope you're doing really well. I just wanted to send a little video out of encouragement to you. I know that we are kind of in a stay-at-home mode, and it's a little weird, isn't it? Everything is so different. We're so used to the hustle and bustle, and now we've been forced to shut down so many aspects of our life and just look at reflecting on things in ways that maybe we would never have had the chance to do. So I want to reiterate to us, just as a reminder, some key verses that are set up for OCC. And of course, they come from Scripture, and that is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. I know we discussed it at our meetings, and I just wanted to give a little perspective because it's something that's really getting me through right now, and hopefully it'll be an encouragement to you as well. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Trust is something that a lot of people have difficulty with, right? And there's reasons for that. And that's because there's been things that have happened in our lives, ways that people have treated us, experiences that we have had that often have taught us not to trust. And this wasn't true in the beginning, because as little children, as babies, we naturally trusted. Isn't that true? In fact, that's why we teach children, for example, don't, go with strangers, don't speak to strangers. Why? Because if we don't instruct them in that, they will just naturally follow people and trust them. That's what we have as our instinct, right? And trust is based on a couple of factors. First of all, it's based on experience and reputation. So for example, if you have a little one and they're all excited and they're up on a piece of furniture like a chair or a couch, and you're down there and you have your arms outstretched to them and you're saying, hey, come to me, go ahead, jump, I'll catch you. And then they don't have any inclination that you won't, right? So they just jump into your arms and they laugh and they enjoy it and all of that. And they'll just, again, and they'll climb up there and they'll do it again and again and again. Why? Because they have no inclination in their mind that you're not going to catch them based on reputation. But what if you did it 5, 6, 7 times, and then all of a sudden one time you decided in an act of cruelty to let them jump and then pull back and let them fall on their face? They wouldn't have quite the same reaction, right? And that would be in the back of their mind as they got up and we instructed them to get up and do it again. What if every once in a while we just let them fall on their face? It causes them to doubt, and it causes them not to have trust. It's based on experience and reputation, correct? Well, the great thing about it is, despite what others have done to us in our life that cause us not to be able to 100% trust people, God can 100% be trusted. I think back to the Hebrews coming out of the land of Egypt. God had done miraculous things. He had put the plagues on Egypt. He had departed and parted the Red Sea, right, and allowed them to walk through that massive amount of Hebrews, walk through on dry land. It was an incredible feat. And then, of course, as the Egyptians went to follow, he closed the sea up in them and swallowed up their enemies. How incredible a feat this was. And then they were out there in a situation very similar to what we are right now, a situation of helplessness where they really needed to be dependent on God. Here we have our sophisticated society with all its reasons why we don't need God on a regular basis. And now society globally has been brought to its knees, having no way of stopping this coronavirus. And it's causing a lot of people to realize maybe we're not as independent and as self-sufficient as we thought. And people are starting to look back at the fact that they need prayers and they need help. And God is still very relevant and someone that we need, correct? And so that's the situation that people are now finding themselves in, needing to trust. And I think of those Hebrews that went out there, the future nation of Israel, as they were able to enter into the land, and they were put out there every single day, depending on God for manna, correct? Depending on him for their food, because otherwise they had no way. In fact, when they even tried to store it, it would go rotten. He made it so they were dependent every single day on them. And what happened? Every day they whined. They're like, oh, has God brought us out here just to die, for us to starve to death? And you would think that as God provided over and over and over again, they would trust and they would realize, wait a minute, he is faithful. Well, God is now putting many of us in that type of situation where we are having to realize that we are helpless maybe to fix some of the things that are going on. Maybe some of you are facing extreme financial stresses right now, uncertainties in health right now. And there's our God who has to say to us, do you trust me? Do you trust that I am in control? Do you trust that I will watch over you? Do you trust that just as I have come through for you so many times in the past, I'm going to do so again? And so that's where we are as far as trusting. It's based on God's flawless reputation. And second of all, trust is based on ability. Okay? You could do that little test where they have it where someone is standing in front of another person and you tell them, hey, okay, I just want you to fall backwards and trust that they're going to catch you. Okay? It would be based on their reputation. What do you think? And also on their ability. If it's like a 5'1" person and they're falling back into the arms of somebody who's, say, 6 foot, 220 pounds and has some strength, that person may feel, okay, well, it's just a matter of whether they'll catch me or not, but not whether or not they can. But what if the 6'2", 255-pound person starts to fall backwards to the 5'1", 110-pound person? They might doubt their ability regardless of their intentions. So trust is also based on ability. And I hope that we understand that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above that which we ask or think. And so based on not only his reputation, but on his ability, God can be trusted. And we're to trust him not partially, not somewhat, not most of the way, but with all our heart. Next thing, lean not on our own understanding. You know why? Because our understanding is flawed. Our understanding is incomplete. We don't always see the big picture. Our understanding is affected by emotions and by what we're feeling at that particular moment. And when it comes to the truth of God, it's based on solid truth, not on feelings, not on emotions. Those things can play havoc with us. It says that the heart is very deceitful, that it can play tricks even on the one who owns it, which is us. Okay, so we can't go based on emotions. We have to lean not on our own understanding, because God has an understanding that is far superior. He can see the end game. He can see above the clouds. He's the one that sees in the maze. He sees the exit when all we see is walls. Okay, so we can't lean on our own understanding. Understanding that if we're not leaning on our own understanding, we'd be leaning on his, right? Not ours. And then the third thing is, in all our ways, acknowledge him. So we need to be acknowledging him, his presence with us always. You know, you can have people in the room, but you don't necessarily acknowledge that they're there. He is always with us, and he's promised to never leave us or forsake us. But at the same time, how often do we walk through life almost forgetting he's there and not even acknowledging his presence? Well, now many of us are forced to do so, because a lot of the distractions that cause us to be so self-sufficient have been stripped away. And now we have time that we never thought we would have. We need to, in all our ways, acknowledge him, acknowledge his blessings, acknowledge his protection, be thankful, you name it, all of those things put together. We need to be doing this on a regular basis. And here's what I like about Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. It's progressive and conditional in many ways. Okay, here's the steps. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. If you do that and you lean not on your own understanding, and then in all your ways acknowledge him, and then it says, and he will direct your paths. This is the great thing. When God is directing our path, it's better than a GPS. It's better than a global positioning system. This is a God positioning system, right? Where God literally sends us in the right direction and prevents us from going in the wrong directions. He will direct our paths. What could be better than having God, who knows everything, created everything, can do everything? What could be better than having him direct the path on which we go? I mean, what path could we possibly choose that could be better in any way or in an alternative to what he has already laid out, correct? So this is it. Now we can trace this backwards. If we feel that we're not being directed and going the right direction, it could be because we're not acknowledging him in all our ways. And why are we not acknowledging him in all our ways? Because we're leaning on our own understanding rather than his. And why are we leaning on our own understanding rather than his? Well, because we're not trusting in him with all our heart. You see, as we trace it backwards, starting at the foundation with trust, we find what the problem is and why we're going off in directions and not being in the right place. So, I hope this has been a helpful reminder to you today. I know it's something I need to remind myself of all the time. Love you guys so much, and I'm just praying that God is going to just grow your faith in tremendous ways during this time. Let's stay in touch. Let's stay connected. Let's reach out to others, and may God bless you. Take care.